All right, welcome back to Radio Nation. I'm your host, Nicholas Pescod. It is now 9:20, and I am now joined live in studio with Envee. Welcome to the show, my friend. Nice to have you back.
It's good to be back, man.
So we're joined in studio. It's like a pleasure, as I said. And I want to talk about, before we get into this interview, I just want to mention something. Let's mention to anybody who's listening. I just want to say thank you for everybody who's listening so far, and we have a great interview coming up for you. And it's been a lot of fun so far. And continue to listen, and we're doing a lot of interviews to make up for the past 3 shows that we have missed. So you're getting a real treat tonight, and we've got a real great artist in with Envee. So Envee, my friend, let's talk about some new stuff for you and why you're here, and let's get right into this interview, my friend. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, lately I've just been working on my newest upcoming project, Thoughts to Reality. We just finished the single for the project, Kicking It. This project is totally different from the last one, Best Kept Secret. It's more along the lines of more lyricism, being more lyrical, being more real on my music, about my life, like, you know what I mean, real experiences, more relating to myself and allowing my listeners to relate to me. So that's where I'm going.
I remember when we talked on your last CD, it was more some of the stuff you hadn't generally related to in yourself. It was more just like you were speaking from almost like general experience. Or the song with Jordan was a great example of that when I asked you the question about, and you're like, it's more from what I would do. But so we can expect as listeners that this CD is going to be, we're going to find out more about who Envee is as a person and what he does.
Yeah, exactly.
So how was that transition from, this your past CD, The Best Kept Secret, to this new one, Thoughts to Reality? What was that transition like?
It was a big transition. It was something I actually had to sit down and think about. Okay, how do I want to approach this industry? Do I want to in like this way, or do I want to? And it's more like, it's even from the guys that I'm working with right now, Executive Entertainment. They showed me that, like, okay, they think it's better that I come more on a lyrical aspect and you know what I mean, try to allow my listeners to relate to me, which I agreed on. You know what I mean, some people will like it, some people won't, but at the end of the day, I know that it's real.
And when you talked about that some people won't like it, do you think that you risk losing some listeners but gaining more in this process, or is it just something that people are going to like you no matter what you say?
I think that people these days respect what's real, you know what I mean? So
you'll be gaining more by doing it.
Exactly, yeah. I'm going to be gaining more, I believe, from this transition.
Now, you just brought up something else. So you're with affiliated Executive Entertainment, and how's that relationship been going for you?
It's been going good. We just began working together, so there's a lot of things that we plan on doing together. We have goals, we have the vision, we know where we're going with it, and it's family, you know what I mean? So
understood.
we know what's gonna happen. We just gotta put forth the focus on it and get it done. Now,
when the last time I had you in studio, besides the fact that you've sort of changed what you sing about, what else has changed in your career since we had you on back in April?
I wouldn't say too much changed. I would say that when it comes down to the writing process, I feel like nowadays I'm actually taking more time to sit down when I write my lyrics, rushing and getting it done and getting inside the booth and recording it, you know what I mean? On the last project, I did a lot of the recording by myself, so it was like, okay, get it written and then go inside the booth and record it right away. But now it's like I wait for my manager to come in and record it for me. So during that time where I'm waiting for him to come in, I can actually, like, you know what I mean, take that time to focus more on my lyrics.
Is it more helpful then for you to sort of take the time and really analyze, or sort of sit down and say, this is what I want to get out. This is like, I got a meaning to this. It's not rushed to the point where you're in there and then you've done it and it's like, oh, well, I could have maybe improved this better. Do you feel more confident by taking time?
Yeah, I do feel more confident, yeah. It's way better when you actually go inside the booth and you have what you're going to record rehearsed already. It's better. Comes out better.
It makes it easier for you, obviously, to go in there and then record it, as just because you already rehearsed it so many times that you've already sat down and you know what you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Now, what's been the biggest challenge then, I guess, so far since we've last had you on? I mean, I guess you've been picked up by Executive Entertainment here, which is huge by all means. It's congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
That's a big step forward for you. So what's been a big challenge so far since we last talked?
Big challenge is like trying to figure out what I want to do, right? Do I want to like just keep pursuing this career and leaving everything else alone and just put my full focus on the career only, or should I focus on two things at a time, go to school and do this, get a job and do this? And I haven't came to conclusion what I want to do yet, but that's what's been pretty hard, man, figuring out what I want, where I want to go.
Any hints as to where you might be leading?
Right now I'm going to stay in the studio.
Well, I'm sure whatever you do will work out for you no matter what, and whether you focus on two things, I'm sure you got a lot of talent, my friend. And
yeah, man, thanks.
I'm sure you'll do just fine.
Yeah.
So my last question, sort of before we maybe play the song. Yeah, do you want to play it? Well, of course you're gonna play it. But
doesn't matter. We can continue or
yeah.
play it.
I just want to ask. So, like, when we had you on your girlfriend, and like your album, like I said, it's more just like semi-experiences or personal experiences. And in this new one, can we expect a lot of, like, you were featured with Jordan, you had a feature in there. Expect some of those types of songs were features with some other artists that are sort of big out there too, or?
For this one, no, not really. This one's gonna be more focused on me. You know what I mean? Though. Yeah, more like establishing myself off myself, not off somebody else's. You know what I mean? Success.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is really like what do you exactly, I guess I should say, is you're hoping to get from this CD when it's released?
I hope to hopefully get a wider fan base. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah, a wider range of listeners. I want to attack the hip hop fans. Like when I say hip hop, I mean like real hip hop. You know what I mean? Like people that want to hear lyrics. You know what I mean? People that don't just turn on a track and listen to the beat. They want to hear what the artist has to say, right? So I'm looking forward to hopefully attracting, like I said, a wider fan base. Do
you think that when this next CD comes out, this is sort of the CD that says this is who I am, and this is kind of defines a career defining CD for you, or is a real big step in your path? It's a big step. Every project you do is a big step. It's another thing that's added to your resume, right? Mm-hmm. To what you've accomplished in your career. Like I'm really looking forward to it, man. We've got like probably 4 or 5 tracks done so far. We're not trying to make it like the last CD where I had like 20 tracks. We're going to do it more like compact. We're going to make like no more than like 10 tracks. Just something to, you know what I mean, dish out to people, get, you know what I mean? You don't really need to do too many. So that's why we came to the conclusion we're going to keep it small. And yeah, that's the lines we're going to go along with it. What has been the hardest fan to attract? Has it been that hip hop fan that is really just that is looking for the lyrics? As opposed, I'm a beat guy, like I mentioned that last show with you. Like I like the beat, but I do like hearing artists that have something to say. But you know, some songs don't generally have a whole lot to say. But what has been the hardest, you know, sort of audience to attract and get and keep as an artist? The hardest audience, I would say males, like guys. Girls are more easier to keep around. You know what I mean? Girls they like anything. You know what I mean? Guys are like they're more picky. You know what I mean? Like a lot of listeners these days are too used to like what's out there right now. So when they hear what's not out there, they're expecting better than what's out there. You know what I mean? And it's hard to do that. It is. It's hard to do that when you're not working with the people that they're working with. Cycle. Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about Executive Entertainment here. And so how did you guys find Envee? And, you know, where did you guys sort of see him? And obviously, I guess I should ask, what do you see in him? I mean, I see talent, but, I mean, we're talking with professionals here. So what do you see in him, and how did you find him?
Well, you know, first off, let me just formally introduce myself. I'm Omyoyo, and my partner, Darren. We're the faces behind Executive Entertainment. I've known Envee for a few years on a personal level, and you know, I've watched him mature as an artist and grow. And basically, when me and my partner started this entire executive thing, you know, we decided we wanted to be able to manage artists, and then we said, you know what, why don't we take one artist that we're confident in, that we see potential in, and not just have him grow, but grow with him. So that's why I feel like this relationship will work great, because Executive Entertainment is getting up off the ground and Envee's getting up off the ground, and it's not just a major label or major manager trying to push a product out to the masses. And it'll definitely be something meaningful behind this relationship that we'll have together. He's got some great skills. We believe in him, and he showcases that daily when we're in the studio with him, and people should definitely check him out.
What's one thing that, as a fan or as a listener about Envee, that we don't see or we don't hear on the track that you see in the studio? What is it about him that just sort of stands out, but we don't really get to see that because we're not around him every day?
What I think, with so much music out now, it's harder to see like an artist's passion behind the music. It's easier to see it when you're in the studio and you have the visual and you see how much effort he puts into his rhymes, and then going in the booth and coming back out to the computer to make sure everything's perfected down to the last detail. And because it's like you have just any John Doe getting a beat and rhyming over it nowadays, it's harder to see someone's passion, you know what I mean? And that's what I have, the upfront experience. I can see that directly because I'm in the studio with them all the time,
This might sound like an obvious question, but it's going to be asked, and that is, what is the long-term goal? I mean, obviously you want him to get big and you want to grow with him, but realistically, what is the long-term goal? I mean, with Envee, where do you hope to get with him, besides being obviously world famous? That's everyone's dream.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even think it's about fame. He's going to remain true to himself, and so he's not going to sell these we want him to be able, like, I want people to hear Envee and see the talent and realize that you don't need, I don't even know what I should be saying. The aim is to get him out there, have people listening, and realize real talent still exists, because I think a lot of music today is watered down. Hip hop, to be specific, is watered down, and there's no real content. And I think Envee's bringing that lyricism back, and the goal is I want people to see that. I want people to just stop with the popping and the snapping and music for something more.
And that's a great point you mentioned, and I think that's one of the reasons like why we support here at Rio Nation is we like to help out other talent. And him coming to me the first time I heard it, I was just shocked, because I feel that rap on the radio and especially hip hop is very much the same. You can say, well, this guy sounds like this guy and this guy sounds like this, but when I hear Envee, I see I put it in the car and other people are like, well, who is this? I'm like, well, this is Envee. And they're like, well, who's that? I'm like, well, he's like an artist and he's great, but who can? And they're like, well, what does he sound like? I'm like, he sounds like him. Like, I can't really tell you who else he sounds like, because I really haven't heard anybody yet. And so I think that's why it's nice to hear refreshing stuff for once, and that's why we try to do here. So I guess my next question would be then, short-term goal, where after this project is done, sort of where do you see yourselves going with the project, and after the CD is completed, what do you guys plan to do next?
Well, I'm so confident in the next CD, I think it'll just work. But the aim is basically, once it's done, final product, we're going to start shopping it around. I really want people to hear this and not just hear it like, oh, listen to the first track, he's okay, and then that's it, and then toss it. I want people to really listen from 1 to 10 each track through and through, so you can believe that. And this is the great thing about Executive Entertainment, is it's more of an interpersonal relationship between artists and management, so you can believe that we're going to be there with them at every performance, or every any live show or anything, like hand in hand, walking, handing out CDs, trying to get the masses to hear it, because he's got a message and we want him to deliver that.
How hard is it to get that message out there when everyone's doing the same thing? I mean, you talk to artists and they say it's easy because now we have social media, but now everybody's doing it, so it's like you're one in a big stream of people. So what do you have to do to separate yourselves from everybody else?
I think it boils back to what Envee said earlier. It's just, people appreciate real, and if you show that you're real and that you love what you do, and you're doing it because not just for the fame, or not just because you want a Lamborghini and want to be overnight celebrity, I think people will appreciate that, and people will respect that. And when you start gaining respect, like, everything is built on respect. Once people respect you, you can definitely believe that everything is going to come after that should be coming your way.
Now, as Executive Entertainment is working for them, how did this company start? I'm kind of curious just on a personal one, but how did this company sort of start? And, you mentioned earlier you kind of focused on a couple other artists and you just decided to kind of back one. Where did that decision come into play? And tell me a little bit about yourself.
It's just from personal experience. I mean, we've seen other managers trying to manage multiple artists at one time, and then the end result is you have 5 mediocre artists, one plateau. And it's a shame because out of those 5 artists, there may be that one individual with the ability to really excel. But because you're so focused on the other 4, trying to equally distribute yourself, it ends up resulting in everyone just being at the same place at the end. I rather company find someone that we truly believe in, not because we see him as being marketable, but because we see that he has the talent that the genre requires, and I rather push him.
Now, Envee, I gotta ask, when you hear stuff like that they believe in you so much, how does that make you feel as an artist? Does that really that might obviously boost your own confidence to keep going with this?
When you know someone believes in what you're trying to do, you realize that you're not alone, and you're not the only one that believes in yourself, right? So having someone believe in you boosts your confidence, which makes your music better. You know what I mean? You feel like you're doing it for a good reason. You know what I mean? You feel like you have to make it. You know what I mean? To satisfy who's been helping you try to make it. So it's a good feeling.
Now, for Executive Entertainment, going behind one person such as Envee, was that a difficult decision, or is that just something that you guys sat down and said, we got to stick with one guy?
I think it was an easy decision in itself. I spoke to my partner, Darren, and we talked it over. We listened to his music, we talked it over, and we went in the studio a few times. It wasn't just like a wave we're trying to ride because we see potential like that. It's that we were in the studio and we just saw the passion, and we're like, let's just rock with Envee. He has it. Let's just rock with him. And it was easy. I think it was easy.
You guys obviously have experience in even the Toronto music scene. Now, how difficult is it when you hear, there's people like Drake and stuff like that, and they come out of it? And how difficult is it in Toronto to make it to a level where sort of the everyday music fan, or I guess you could say listener, will know who Envee is? How hard is that to get someone to that level?
I think it's like, if you don't have the right supporting cast behind you, it's virtually impossible. I think Toronto is a very difficult market because we have this one artist who's kind of like on this like pedestal, who's Drake. I mean, he's very talented, and he deserves what he has, definitely. And then you have the other few artists who are creating a buzz around the city, and it's like most of those artists, like, their music is just saturated with like gangster rap, and like the content doesn't really change, and it's difficult because it's like if you're not really portraying a certain image, no one's gonna listen to your music, and it's a shame.
Right. Now, I want to, for me, I've listened to Drake, but I've also listened to Lil Wayne, and I get the two of them confused. And it's not even just I'm not even saying that as an insult. I'm saying that just as an honest listener, I've actually been confused when I'm at work hearing both.
Yeah.
And I feel that, but this seems like a common theme these days, is you have to take what someone else does and modify it.
Exactly, and that's that's what I really like about Envee, because when I listen to Envee, I don't think, oh, this reminds me of Jay-Z in '99. I don't that's Jay-Z's lane. Let Jay-Z be Jay-Z and let Envee be Envee, and that's what I really like about his music. I'd rather let the music speak for itself. I think we should roll into that track.
All right, you want to bring in the track? All right, so we're going to take a quick break first, and then we'll go back to the track so I can cue it up for you and everything. So it's been a lot of fun having you guys on, and we'll come back in a moment. We'll wrap the show up not the entire show, because I do have to talk about one thing, and that is Rebecca Black unfortunately has a new song out, so we have to talk about that. And which leads me into a very good point, is that should someone who became so successful off a horrible song and get the up because they have the backing of one place, or maybe because ABC said, hey, let's help you out, that they should get the fame, when here's a guy like Envee who's going to work his ass off.
I know.
And it's not going to get, and that's what really frustrates. So we'll come back and I'll talk about that, and you'll hear my opinion on all that. So we're going to play a bit more music for you here coming up on Radio Nation. So we're going to be playing a song by Jessica Speciality called Turn Me On. So here it is.